Welcome to the market recap presented by Tackle Trading. Get in the game.
Good afternoon, Tackle Traders, and hello, YouTube. This is Frank coming to you quickly with today's market recap. It is the 3rd of July. I thought about just cutting a video for you, but then I thought maybe I'd just pop you in normal time, see if anybody was around. Just as easy to do that with you guys and on my own. I learned that last week. So I hope everybody had a great day trading, have an exciting Thursday off planned for themselves. The market certainly was in a celebratory mood here today. Pretty much, as you can see, looking at this heat map, I mean, it was a heck of a lot of green right across the board. We were seeing pretty much all of the sectors rise. We saw the Dow Jones break out, hitting a new high, S&P hitting a new high, the NASDAQ running right into that resistance, knocking right on that door. A lot of solid bullish movement here today. You did see a few dips. Avago dropped on news, but that's Broadcom on news that they were looking potentially, at least looking, I didn't see it confirmed, to acquire SYMC. Had a big pop on SYMC, as you often do on those acquisition rumors. To take a quick peek over there, maybe. They buying the company that rumored or getting bought out really hops and huge jump on SYMC on those rumors. And on Broadcom, as is often the case, some dropping going on. So little pop over for SYMC, a little drop for Broadcom, as those rumors are just going to we'll have to see if there's anything to it. A lot of times there are. We'll just have to see where that one takes us. Over on the S&P, I mean, it was a bullish day from really top to bottom. As you can see, looking at this 15-minute chart, just drifting up, pushing up all day long, closing very, very close, if not right at the session high. So great day for the bulls. Of course, from a more broader, technical position, just more follow through over on that breakout, right? That was the big breakout. We've talked about this one a lot. You guys have been all over it. Just another day of continuation. On the support side, let's kind of look to the breakout zone to be that first line in the sand, with this swing low kind of as that secondary level. That's kind of where our trend would be violated if that were to give out. I expect to see more bullish activity. We do have the jobs report on Friday, so something to be keeping our eyes out for. Could be a good reason to keep running, good reason to see a little profit taking to close the short week out. But a really good day from a technical point of view for most of your bullish trades, I would imagine. It's one of those days when you scroll through and everything is in the green. The only thing in the red today on my main list is the VIX, which to be expected on a day like today, right? Over on the Dow, nice, clean, top to bottom break. A little bit of confirmation can go a long ways, as we all know, as we get back to work here on Friday. So just a really solid win for the bulls here, knocking right on the door on the NASDAQ, just right into that resistance zone. Maybe not the same resistance zone that the S&P and the Dow have been battling, but certainly one that pushed us down in price in the very recent past. So knocking on that door on the breakout side of things, and even a little bit of a bounce back day here for the RUD after a little bit of selling these last couple of trading days, a little bit of a bounce back day, a little bit of upward movement. And maybe you could say that that's a trade, some room to run, certainly into that 1600 range. I'll probably look elsewhere. I think we need some upward movement at the very least. Of course, on days like this, it's just pretty green all across the board. So everything is in pretty good shape. Materials, another strong showing. So many of our names that we've been keeping close eyes on just continue to do what they've been doing, especially post-break. Still room to run. Not a lot until we work into this resistance zone before we have a significant challenge on that ETF. Now they're starting to, some of them are starting to push into resistance levels after, or have recently broken through some, like Echo Labs. Of course, we talk a lot about Echo Labs because they've been a pretty good trading candidate as of late, working into resistance. Breaking that resistance would be a secondary signal. Of course, they're not the only company in this space that's going to have that look to them by any stretch of the imagination. So just continuing that breakout. Again, we'll kind of look at that old breakout zone, especially on XLB in that 58 range as a support catalyst for any pullback that we see, in my mind at least. Energy, a little bit of a bounce back day, but still very undecided. It is just in the middle of a battle. Right now, we have our little swing support down here at about 62.30, with our swing resistance about 64.60. We are kind of in the middle. It continues to be an area that I think we have to tread very lightly until we get some clarity one way or the other. Still stuck in this little trading range. Not sure what it wants to do with itself, so I will let it figure it out, and then we'll kind of get back in on it. I imagine we'll get some good opportunities whichever way it decides to break when we get some clear signals. Or in financials, working all the way back up into this resistance, but certainly something we're going to want to keep our eyes on. A little bit of resistance that we're working into, seeing some really good movement pretty much across the board in the financial sector, of course, working right into this resistance zone. Going to have to battle this one out. Once we get past that, it's probably going to be easier to go into a weekly time frame. We don't really have a lot. Probably next level worth keeping a close eye is going to be around $29, looking at this weekly pivot from last fall. But that's a little bit of room to go on the ETF as well. So got to keep an eye on this resistance level. Maybe it causes a little bit of profit taking, pullback consolidation. Beyond that, breaking through that, because that could be the way it goes too, just going to be another very decent signal. We of course had MasterCard knocking on that door of that break, late last week, pushing through, following through here today. Pick your name. Lots of them are looking very solid. We looked at DFS yesterday, pushing through that resistance. Not a lot of overhead for a couple of dollars here, so just continues to be a pretty strong area in my eyes as well. XLI didn't do anything wrong. It just feels like it was late to the party, or its invitation got lost in the mail. Not really much to be overly concerned about in my mind, as long as we're holding our support level, our swing zone here. And hey there, Ilka. Yeah, I thought about it. Yesterday, actually, at the end of the recap, I said, you know what, I'll just cut a quick video and throw it up. But then today, as it was getting time to do the recap, I was thinking, it's easy. It's just as easy to go live. It's easier for me because I know the buttons to push. So it's a lot more fun. I figured maybe somebody would be in here with me, and if not, they could just catch the recording. So glad to be here, and great work on CCEP. Ilka and I were talking. I guess it was Friday, right, Ilka? Both of us looking at about the same time, and as it was sitting on that 50-day moving average over in the staples. Really nice trade identification on your part there, Ilka. Really nice movement. Now we're working into that first challenge. If we can break through that, a little bit more upside, I would assume, on CCEP. So great work over there on that trade. Very nicely. Nice job on the identification. Nice job top to bottom there. Well played, sir. So yeah, it was a good trade. Bounce off the 50. The only thing I don't like about those trades is we have to deal with those, shorter term falling averages. And you know me, Ilka, I'm never afraid to be a little on the cautious side. So, but nicely done, my friend. Great work there. Over industrial, still kind of just waiting for that burst. Slow down a little bit. Now, part of it, yeah, we know part of it is going to have a little bit to do with Boeing, who even on a day like today is just there. Right, everything's in the green. They're just there, so that's part of it. So maybe that's all it is. We did see some nice movement here in our defense. That's really been the go-to lately for me, of course. Whether it's Honeywell breaking out, Lockheed breaking out, and following through off of, depends on how you want to call it, Monday or yesterday's candle. KTOS, a smaller size company, not in the S&P 500, but on the reports in the defense sector, continues to be kind of a stalwart over there in my mind. Even GE, even good old GE knocking on the door of a break of resistance. Not a particularly great day here today. So an area I still think we like. My questions really are, why does it seem like it's so slow relative to everything else? And maybe that's just the way it is, right? Maybe there's nothing to see there. Maybe that's just part of the deal. I don't really expect, as long as we hold our support zone, I do expect to continue to overall work our way into that $79 range, followed by that $80 range as that next, maybe a little bit more significant level of resistance. We can certainly look at this swing low from last week as our primary support. In my opinion, that thing were to give out, that would be a violation of trend. But as long as this holds, I'm going to continue to have a bullish posture on the industrials. Tech breaking out here today as well. I thought, of course, we talk a lot about tech, a lot about semiconductors lately. That was just such a big part of it. A little bit of a hammer type of a candlestick. Run up, pull back. Now we've got a little hammer, some upward momentum. Some folks might call that a pullback. I didn't look at AMD here yet today. A little bit messier. I did look at NVIDIA though. They when I saw that development on the ETF, very similar. I saw NVIDIA. We've seen that drop and drift over the last few trading days, much like the industry ETF, putting a little bit of a turnaround candle. Haven't quite turned around yet, but that's certainly a good start, right? Drifting to the downside, slowly starting to work back up. So maybe something for us, maybe next week. I guess aggressively we could talk Friday morning on something that looks like this, but I think maybe more of a next week area for me at least. But again, it's just hard to say anything too bad about much of anything today. It really is. Even the big loser in Broadcom, I mean, it was something that happens a lot on those buyout rumors, right? Continuing to see some decent movement on Oracle at this point in time. So just continuing to run through after that break. Adobe showing strength. Apple, I know, showing some strength. So just, all over the place, strength, and then a little bit more strength in technology. It didn't want to get left behind here today. Staples, utilities reached just another great day. You saw CCEP from Ilka there, very nicely done. Nice thing about any trade within this space right now is we saw this ETF power through that resistance here. Certainly a bullish signal in my eyes going forward within the Staples sector. Looking at this big picture too, I mean, this is an all-time high. So you always have to appreciate when we hit all-time highs, I believe, because it's not easy to do. So nice break, nice follow through. Things are looking pretty decent over in the Staples. Just continue to really strong bounce off of that 58. Took a minute to get back above those averages, but once we did, it was kind of lift off for the Staples. Really great movement over there. More continued movement into the utilities. We're approaching some resistance that I think is worth monitoring, especially in the short term. Maybe this could be a place that causes, some profit taking. It's been a good couple of days or a good week, depending on when you got in to utilities. We do have a little bit of a top that has developed there. If we swing this into a weekly, it's not a lot, but we have really formed that consolidation type of a pattern. So I do think it wise to keep an eye on this resistance zone in that 61 to 61.20 range. We did work into that on our high, as you can see, did sell off of that, whereas so many of the things that we saw today closed at green candles top to bottom. Did see some profit taking at that resistance. Not overly concerned about it, but I think something that we should monitor as we move into Friday and into next week. Over in discretionary, oh, there we go. There's us a breakout right there. We go. We love to see some breakouts and lots of options. We saw Starbucks breakout yesterday, follow through, tremendous follow through at that here today. Our old friend Mickey D's, hopefully they are treating you right, at least in the stock market, if not at the restaurant. Really great follow through, continuing to show great movement. So just another area, even the Nordstroms and the Urban Outfitters of the world are holding their own, right? Certainly not great looking charts, and this doesn't take much for a breakdown to occur on something that looks like this, but held up here today. So pretty good strength. That's a good signal, in my opinion, at least, breaking through that resistance, little bit of a cup, little bit of a handle, need some follow through. Always want that follow through, right? But the hard part is getting there in the first place, I believe. So good solid movement over there. We're going to have options wherever we look. Over in REITs, just boom. Once people decided they were on board, and for me, it was above 37. above this little, had to get through that on this deeper pullback. Personally, could have got in a little earlier. In hindsight, should have got in a little earlier, but it's okay. I'm not going to complain too much. Powering through those moving averages, not a lot of resistance until we get to that 38.50. The trend is still looking very strong. I mean, traders have just went crazy buying into this thing these last couple of days. They certainly took the opportunity at the discounted price that they received. So not a lot to really worry about resistance wise until we get to this swing high. Not a huge line in the sand, but certainly something that we'll keep our eyes on, right? Always have to do that. And lastly, over in the communication services, just follow through off of yesterday's, well, technically Monday's hold, right? Technically Monday we held. Yesterday we had some good follow through, more follow through here today. The interesting chart in this area, in my opinion at least, is Google. We are now, I'm going to steal this because I don't need it anymore. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. We are now knocking on the door of resistance. Now, we didn't break it, right? Resistance is tough to break. And if I had to bet, I'd bet on it not breaking it. But we're right here, right? We're right here, an old floor. If we can push through that resistance, we probably need to deal with that 50-day moving average, in my eyes at least, before we start talking. But that would give us that higher high and higher low type of a pattern. So this is an important level of resistance going into Friday. That could happen as early as Friday, where we see a big red candle push down, break through it. Certainly an interesting price. Don't think there's a trade here just yet, but a very interesting price point on Google. Of course, Facebook, the other big name, working into some resistance. I think this belongs on a breakout list. I'm not a huge Facebook fan, both in reality and trading. I'll probably be looking elsewhere, but I think you do have to call this a breakout candidate, regardless of, my styles or personal opinions. That is certainly some resistance. Beyond this resistance, I mean, there really isn't a lot. There is some room until we work really into anything else. So understandable, Ilko, you can't take them all. Unfortunately, you can't take them all. So sometimes you sure wish you could, though. Other times you're really glad that you don't, right? That's usually how it works. So probably keep an eye. Probably, above 200 is probably where I would start thinking the break occurred. Technically, I think it's a little lower than that, but with that big round number kind of in that just looming ahead of us, think probably, for me at least, I need to see that happen. You did see EA really sell off of resistance after breaking out. This is why I hate EA. It always does weird things. I don't trade it. I sure like to look at it and complain about it and make fun of it, but I don't like to trade it. After a nice little break, started to work into resistance, and then zoom, all here today, giving it all back. Let's see how it settles in, but not a great look. And of course, Disney. Can't forget to talk. Our friends at Disney did not follow through tremendously with the market today, but you could argue that was doing us a favor. Closing right above that resistance level, little bit of upward movement on Friday, maybe some confirmation. I don't know. I'll be thinking about it on Thursday afternoon, so I don't have to make a decision. It is kind of nice. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow with it being Thursday. I'll keep myself occupied, but I'll feel like I'm missing something all day long. But I'll be thinking about them. So as you can see, I mean, pretty much everything showing great strength, with maybe the exception of energy that's really kind of stuck in its own middle ground. I don't know what you do with that right now. I don't think it's a great condition for sideways trades, but I wouldn't be surprised if we go sideways for a while. I'm just generally speaking letting it be personally. VIX, the only thing in the red today. Good day like this in the market. No surprise to anybody here or watching later. Certainly going to see a little bit of dip over in the VIX. Dollar's interesting, developing. Well, that's not the dollar. The dollar's developing an interesting little 3-day top, after that big candle. And I believe that is the type of candle you have to pay attention to, even though we haven't turned trend yet. That is the type of candle I will pay attention to, developing a little bit of a resistance level, and might need a little bit longer, But if, you could argue that it's there, a break above that could be a little bit of a bullish signal in the very short term. Still have to contend with that downward trend line, though. Not sure if that would be more of an intraday signal. That's how I would read it, than a swing signal. On the other end, if you are keen to a breakout, start to put a little 2-day floor. So if that were to give, or I'm sorry, a retracement, not a breakout, we've got a ways to go for a real breakout, but a little top there. A little bit of downward movement would probably need to take out these lows over the last 2 trading days to get me interested. I could have been interested at this price, but not with this candle that we saw to open the week. That is a nope, not me. I'm not gonna. That was a lot of momentum. The big old Pac-Man gobble it up candle. Nope, I'll respect that, and may not do anything with it, but I'm not going to bet against it. Over in the metals, remain very bullish, remain very intraday volatile. A ton of movement, as you can see here on gold, working all the way into the top, coming well off of those highs. Again, gold has been very, very strong as of late. As long as it makes sense, to me. A break, now we've got a 2-time test here at this just above 1440. Break of that, certainly a little bit of a signal moving forward. Maybe we are going to continue to churn a little bit within this trading range, though. Hard to trade directionally from a swing perspective right now. You have to be so fast, at least faster than me. I'm kind of a slower guy, as you guys know. So, but it's still tremendously, bullish. We continue to see buyers come into gold very, very regularly. Be interesting to see if the dollar does turn around, how that longer term impacts that gold trend. And over in silver, remains volatile. Thought maybe there could be a trade off of this 15 and 25, 15, 20, 25 range. I don't really think that any longer, although you could start to make some cases for the old boomerang trade, selling something on a naked put on SLV, do a little bit of cash flow or something along those lines. I think you could make an argument for that. I think at this point, for me, for the signal, it's going to be the break of 1560. If this would have developed a little nicer, and that probably wasn't realistic of me to hope for with how volatile overall the metals market has been this last little bit, that's a good thing for the most part, right? Most of us have been bulls on gold, so we're not complaining, but it just really didn't develop into a very friendly pattern in my opinion. So I think it's going to have to break that 1560 for me to get interested. It was such a strong day in the market. Even natural gas was up on the day over 2%. Now, not going to read too much into that. We know that overall we've got that big breakdown that we've got to contend with. That's going to line up with the 50-day moving average. Anything below that, not interested personally. Got our swing resistance that formed here at 235. So seeing some downward movement off of that. That's kind of that next level of resistance. And of course, the trend continues to be very, very weak. Good day for natural gas. Certainly not a good enough day for me to change my overall bearish sentiment on them. And lastly, over in crude, I was hoping we get a little simmer down, but we got a smaller green candle. Bulls came back in, buying it at a discount off of the last after yesterday's steep sell-off. Maybe some upward movement, maybe back above 58. You could call it a pullback. I don't like violent pullbacks, and so I'm not going to call it that, but I think you could make a case if we can push back above 58, you could make a bull case for it on that side of things. As it is right now, I think you at least need a little bit of upward movement as confirmation. 60, that 60 zone continues to be the primary support for me, and this 55 breakout zone is the primary support for me. Primary resistance at 60. There you go. There you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it. It was a heck of a day. There's no doubt about it. It was a good 3rd of July. We'll see if we follow through, see if we have the 4th of July hangover on Monday or on Friday, or if we are still rocking and rolling when we get back from our weird but exciting day off. So that's going to do the recap today. I know it was great to have you with me, Ilka. Everybody who's able to join live, thank you. I know that most of you probably had better things to do than come hang out with me. So this will be up on the channel for you if you need it. Of course, guys, thank you so much for joining me. It's always a lot more fun to go through this stuff with you guys than on my own. So thank you for your time. Thank you to those of you who watch this a little later in the day. It does look like WWE won the Instagram vote, so look towards a video on WWE over on Instagram in the days to come. It should be fun to see where we're at with that one. Of course, if you are new around here, do be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, join us at Tackle Trading on Twitter, join me at Frank Martin 23. Get on over to tackletrading.com. If you're not a pro member, we'll get you hooked up with a free trial. You can see what we're all about. We'd love to have you give us a shot. Get into the clubhouse, talk to your your fellow traders. Gotta love this community. Love being able to talk trading all day, any day with interested and exciting traders. So thank you guys. Thank you, Ilka. Great job again, my friend, on CCEP. That was a really well placed, put together trade. So hats off to you there, sir. All right, guys, get out of here. You guys have a there you go. I'm just waiting for a breakdown on WWE or a bust, personally. For me, there's a lot better bullish trading candidates, in my opinion, on WWE. So I'm waiting for either a break or find something else. Now, maybe if we turn into a W, maybe we can get talking. But that's just me. We'll see. We'll see what I think Matt was going to do it. We'll see what Coach Matt has to say about it. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, get out of here. Happy 4th of July to everybody out there. If you're traveling, do so safely. If you're just hanging out home, enjoy a little extra time with your friends and family. It's going to be weird getting back to work on Friday, but we'll do it, right? So, all right, guys, get out of here. Happy 4th. Thank you for your time. Have a fantastic holiday. I will see you Friday afternoon. Bye, everybody.